Taybah. And just ask for the brothers, please come forward. Jazakumullah. The ones on the, please come forward. Don't sit at the back.
Can you clip this, or is that a hindrance?
More important for me that your class is really always together, inshallah. That's the most important thing. Sitting at the back, vulnerable for the shaitan. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. Praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and passing salutation upon His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is what we need to always address every time we give a talk, and we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla's help for this lecture to be successful and goes into the heart and then results into implementation on the ground. For verily, a serious topic that I love to talk about, and I love also for you to listen to it and adhere to it, for verily it gives you a shortcut to paradise. One day, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he came to the Prophet ﷺ, he says, أَيُّ الْأَعْمَالِ أَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ. What is the act which is the most dearest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So the Prophet ﷺ answers that question by saying, الصلاة على وقتها. Prayer on its time. So you're praying the prayer on its time. Then what, Messenger of Allah? Said birrul walidain, being dutiful to your parents. Then what, Messenger of Allah? Then al-jihadu fi sabilillah. So the jihad is the third category in terms of deed ranks. Third one comes after salah and comes after the being dutiful to your parents. Not only that, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ in order to participate in the jihad. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him, do you have a mother? Yes, she's alive. Yes. Then go stick to her in order that Allah will give you the Jannah. Stick to her, that means be right, dutiful to her and fulfill your duty towards her, and Jannah is yours. Why are you coming for the jihad? Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, after the death of the Prophet ﷺ, he was one of the muftis, gives fatwa to the people. For verily, he was asked by a man, and the hadith was narrated by Ata ibn Yasar, one of the great followers. He said, Ibn Abbas, verily, I wanted to marry a woman whom I loved so much, but my proposal was refused. And another person came and proposed to her, and she accepted. I got so jealous, so I killed her. And I feel I'm guilty. I need to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What should I do? So he said to him, is your mother alive? He says, no. He said, then do as much as act as possible, or as many act as possible, in order to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and repent to Him. Ata ibn Yasar, he went to Abdullah ibn Abbas and he said, why did you ask him about your mother? About his mother, is she alive or not? He said, verily, I don't know of any act that would get you closer to Allah than being dutiful to your mother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in a number of verses, one of them that I'm going to be quoting in Surah Al-Ankabut, Allah says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حُسْنًا. We have enjoined mankind, son of Adam, to be good to his parents. Husna and ihsana, on all of these words, they are words to say that would encompass all types of good. Al-husn wal-ihsan, all types of good, all types of righteousness. We have to give it to our parents. So from that, and from the following hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which says, ثلاث دعوات مستجابات, 3 supplications that would be fulfilled. One of them, da'watul walidain, that is the supplication of the father. Supplication of the father either for or against. The father and the mother, the parents. Supplication of the father and the mother, whether it is for or against the son or the daughter. So make sure that supplication is going to be in your favor, not against you. For verily, just like being dutiful to your parents is a short cut to paradise, being undutiful to your parents is a shortcut to the hellfire. And that is why we need to address this issue promptly and give you some also things which has been gathered from a number of ahadith and etiquettes that maybe you never heard of and for the very first time regarding how to be good to my parents. We start with the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, which is the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. He said, verily, the only 3 children who spoke in the cradle. 3 children spoke in the cradle. Now, those 3 children were mentioned in this hadith. As for the child who's mentioned in the Ghulam al-Ukhdud, the story of the Surah al-Buruj, that child, he was not a child in the cradle. He was a child who is able to speak. The one whom his mother hesitated to throw herself into the trench where it's far. He said to her, "Mother, be patient, for verily you are upon haqq." So he was not a child in the cradle. The cradle means the child only speaks, sounds. There's no words, no letters. So the only 3 children, babies, who spoke in the cradle, they are the one which is Isa alayhi salam. And number 2, the one in the story of Jurayj. And the 3rd one, that is a child who was taking breastfeeding from his mother. And the 3rd one we're going to be talking about. And then we're going to talk about the 1st and the 2nd. He was feeding from taking the breast of his mother. Suddenly, a man passed by on top of a horse and looking nice, smart. And the mother, as any mother, she said, "I wish my son would be like him." So the baby left the nipple of his mother, looked at that man, and he said, "Oh Lord, don't make me like him." Then he went back suckling. And Abu Hurairah was giving the demonstration that the Prophet ﷺ gave the demonstration as he was talking, and he put his finger into his mouth, and the baby went suckling like that. Then a girl was passing, Jariyah, she's a slave, and people after her, "You zania, you fornicator, you are a thief," calling her the names. So she said, "Oh Lord, don't make my child like her." He left the nipple of his mother, looked at the girl and said, "Oh Lord, make me like her." Then there was a dialogue happening between the mother and the child. The mother's talking to her child. "Why is it I said Allah Azza wa Jal to make you like that man who passed, and you said, 'Oh Lord, don't make me like him.'" When that girl passed by and she was being chased up by people saying that what a fornicator, what a thief you are. And I said, "Oh Lord, don't make my child like her." You said, "Oh Lord, make me like her." So the child spoke as well. He said, "Verily, mother, that man, he's a tyrant. And that girl, she was innocent. That man, he was a tyrant leader, whereas that girl, she was innocent. And she was saying, Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah is the suffice. And Allah is the one to put my trust on." Now coming to the first child, who is Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salam, he is the son of Maryam. And he was the last prophet of Bani Israel. Not to say he was the last prophet before Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There was no prophet between him and the Prophet of Allah. Any prophet who is mentioned in between is not authentic. They mentioned Khalid ibn Sinan as a prophet between Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Isa salam. That's not right. So the last prophet of Bani Israel is Isa alayhi salam. And he was the last prophet before the coming of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I think this is not really right with this tissue box. But never mind. Okay, I'll watch out. I'm not going to knock my table.
Sorry,
Clear, inshallah. Right, so basically the story of Isa alayhi salam can be seen in Surah Maryam, and we're going to be reading and translating from verse 29. Allah says, وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ مَرْيَمْ, and mention to them, O Muhammad, in the Quran, the story of Maryam, إِذْ انْتَبَذَتْ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا مَكَانًا شَرْقِيًّا, when she secluded herself in a place facing east. فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِن دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا. She took a screen between them and herself. So she screened herself so she can't be seen. فَأَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهَا رُوحَنَا. We have sent upon her our ruh, and that is Jibreel alayhi salam. فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. And he appeared before her in a man in all respects. قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا. She said, I seek refuge in the most beneficent, that is Allah, from you if you do fear Allah. قال إنما أنا رسول ربك. For verily he said, I am the messenger of your Lord. لأهب لك غلاما زكيا. In order to announce to you a gift that is a pure son, righteous son. قالت, she said, أَنَّا يَكُونُ لِي غُلَامٌ. How can I have a ghulam, a child? وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ. No male had touched me. وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا. And I was not unchaste. I am not an unchaste woman. She is a chaste woman. قَالَ كَذَلِكَ. He said, so it will be. قَالَ رَبُّكِ هُوَ عَلَيَّ هَيِّنٌ. Your Lord had said, this is easy upon me. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. And in order to make him, Allah saying, as a sign to mankind, وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا. And a mercy from us, كَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْضِيًّا. And it is already a matter which is decreed by Allah. Then Jibreel salam, he blew into her. فَحَمَلَتْهُ فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا. She had conceived him and she took him into a far place. So فَأَجَاءَهَا الْمَخَاضُ إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. Then the child, or the birth of the child, we call it the birth child pain. So that pain of the childbirth drove her to the trunk of a palm tree. Before we go in this, so you can see here that Isa alayhi salam was a sign from Allah Azza wa Jal in the way that he was formed. That Allah Azza wa Jal made him to be there without a father, without a male intervention. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like he is capable and he has got the capability of creating man from nothing. He created Adam alayhi salam from dust, and he created Hawa from Adam. He is creating Isa without a father from a mother. And if we're going to speak logically to convince the Christians, he's saying that he's a God because he's got no father, the father is God. For verily, Adam is more of a miracle, logically speaking, because he's got no father, Adam, no mother. And if I want to speak logically as well, maybe Hawa, she's more of a miracle than Isa alayhi salam, because she was born from a father, as Adam alayhi salam, and she had no mother. As Isa alayhi salam, he had a mother, but he did not have a father. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if he willed something, he would say be, and there it is. Right, now this is now coming to the sign. Also, he was a sign in the way, we've said he was formed, and also he was in the way that he was delivered. How did the mother give birth to him? That was a miracle as well. Let's see. So Allah says, فَأَجَاءَهَا الْمَخَاضُ إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. The pain of the childbirth drove her to the trunk of a date palm. قالت, she said, يا ليتني مت قبل هذا. I wish I died before this, before conceiving this baby. وكنت نسيا منسيا. I was forgotten, totally out of sight. فناداها من تحتها ألا تحزني. He called upon her from underneath. Interpretation could be Jesus alayhi salam, Isa alayhi salam, or it could be Jibreel. Most likely Jibreel alayhi salam. He called upon her. Jibreel alayhi salam, لا ألا تحزني. Don't be sad. قد جعل ربك تحتك سري. Allah made underneath you a water stream. وهزي إليك بجذع النخلة. So this is the miracle now. There's a water stream underneath her. وهزي إليك بجذع النخلة. And also shake towards you the trunk of the date palm. تساقط عليك رطبا جنيا. It will bring you ripe dates. Now that's a miracle. For the person who sees or he knows the trunk of a date palm is huge. You need a truck to move it. Even if a car smash into it, it might make it a move. You might not even shake the tree. That's how powerful it is. Now a woman, she is very feeble. She can't really move such a thing. Not to say the man can't do that. Now a woman which is experiencing the pain of a childbirth that even is weaker upon weakness and upon weakness, yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that you just shake with your hand the trunk of the date palm and it will bring you ripe dates. And the dates will never be consumable except you climb up to get them. Not like that. If they fall down like this, they're not going to be consumable. So he said, وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا فَكُلِي وَاشْرَبِي وَقَرِّ عَيْنًا. Allah says, eat and drink. وَقَرِّ عَيْنًا. So this, Jibreel as-salam told her, eat and drink and be glad. فَإِمَّا تَرَيْنَ مِنَ الْبَشَرِ أَحَدًا. If you see any mankind, any person, فَقُولِي, say to him, إِنِّي نَذَرْتُ لِلرَّحْمَنِ صَوْمًا. I have vowed to the Rahman, the most beneficent Allah, that is a fast. I'm not going to talk. فَلَنْ أُكَلِّمَ الْيَوْمَ إِنْسِيًّا. I'm not going to talk to anybody. فَأَتَتْ بِهِ قَوْمَهَا تَحْمِلُ. So she brought the baby, carrying him after she had delivered the baby. Now she's going to face her people. فَقَالُوا, they said to her, قَالُوا يَا مَرْيَمْ, O Maryam, لَقَدْ جِئْتِ شَيْئًا فَرِيًّا. You have brought something which is unheard of. Something mighty. How can you bring a baby? We know that you didn't have a husband. Ya ukhta Harun, you are the sister of Harun. Harun is a righteous man at that time. He's not Harun, the brother of Musa alayhi salam. Ya ukhta Harun, ma kana abuki imra'a saw. Your father was not a bad fornicator. He was not a man who used to fornicate with iyadu billah. It tells you that fornications run in the blood. Can you just ask the brothers to come forward, and the ones who close the gap, please. Don't leave the gap. Come forward, ya akhi. Yes, jazakallah. No, not you. I'm just talking to the brothers or the back. Barakallah feek. So he says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that basically from this that the waliyadu billah, fornication goes into the offsprings. If your father and mother fornicates, most likely there will be children who are fornicating. Just the same thing that the father is a doctor, always the children of doctors. If it's an engineer, the children are always engineers. You'll find which is not engineer, but most likely engineer will give birth to engineers. And also fornicators will affect their lineage, and they'll be fornicators' children. So they said to her, مَا كَانَ أَبُكِ امْرَأَ سَوْءٍ وَمَا كَانَتْ أُمُّكِ بَغِيًّا. Your father was not a fornicator, nor your mother was an unchaste woman, harlot. That means, where did you bring the child from? That's an implicit statement of fornication. فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. She can't do anything except that she pointed to him, because she knew it's a miracle. فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. So now they're taking the mick. Why are you going to speak to the child? They said, كيف نكلم من كان. So قالوا كيف نكلم من كان في المهد صبي. How can we speak to a baby who's in the cradle? So this is not heard of. This is not common sense. This is nonsense. So the child looked at them, Isa alayhi salam, and he had spoken the 7 sentences, which are the miracles. And from those sentences, the quotation for our topic, which is being dutiful to your parents, or the rights of the parents upon their children in Islam. So he said, قَالَ إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ. I am the slave of Allah. That's the first thing. So this is ubudiyya. Slave of Allah, tawheed. أَتَانِيَ الْكِتَابِ. Allah gave me the book, the scripture. Second statement. Third statement. وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا. And he made me a prophet. Number 4 statement. وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ. And he made me to be blessed wheresoever I be. وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. And he enjoined me to do the prayer and the charity, the zakah, as long as I'm alive. Number 6, وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي. And righteous to my mother. Number 7, وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْنِي جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا. And he did not make me a tyrant, rigid person. So from that, we could see that Isa alayhi salam was commanded to be righteous to his mother, because he has no father, so he cannot be righteous to his father. But he used to be righteous to his mother. That's he spoke it while he was in the cradle. Now coming to the story of the second one, which is Jurayj. Jurayj, for verily, a person whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him to be a righteous man. Jurayj he actually was living in the Christian era. So he was a Christian, but he was a devoted worshipper. Jurayj used to have a monastery. He built himself a monastery. Monastery, like a place of worship. They built it so high, far away from the people, on the mountains. And they call it as well hermitage. So he was a monk, basically. And he made it from mud. So that hermitage is made of mud. These people, they used to, go extreme in their ibadah. Some of the extremism is not even accepted in the deen. But his was. But normally it is the case, the monasticism, they call it, that they used to chain themselves in order not to leave or to have celibacy, not to attach themselves to one, or not to detach themselves totally from women, they don't marry, and all of that. Like these days the priests call it celibacy. All of that is not from the Islam. Uthman ibn Mad'un radiallahu anhu came to the Prophet, he said, Messenger of Allah, give me a permission, that is, to tour the land and castrate myself. For verily, he wanted to get rid of what causes him the fitna. When he castrates himself, you know what's castration? You remove the private part testicles, and that's it. Don't have to worry about women. Let me tour the land, and that's it. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to him, don't you have a good example to follow in me? He said, yes, Messenger of Allah. For verily, I approach the women as I marry, and I eat the meat. Why did he say I eat the meat? Because the Christians, they claim there's a fast from the meat. I eat the meat. So no vegetarians here. I eat the meat. وأصوم وأفطر. And I fast and I break my fast. قال وأنهى أمتي الخصاء. And I also forbid you from castration. For خصاء أمتي الصيام. The castration of my ummah is to fast. And is not from my ummah the one who castrates himself or have castration to others. Right, so now he used to seclude himself, Jurayj. Now seclusion in Islam, is it acceptable? Seclusion in Islam is acceptable as long as you are doing your jama'ah prayer, but totally not to talk to anybody. So if somebody speaks to you, I don't speak to you, brother, because I'm going to be in seclusion. That's not right. For verily, the Prophet ﷺ, he said at the time of the tribulation, Yushiku, it's about أن يكون خير مال الرجل, that the best of the property or the wealth of a man, قال غنم, sheep, يتبع بها شعف الجبال. That is, he will be following the mountains. He goes to the mountains with his sheep. Why? Fleeing from what? The tribulations. قال, this is no problem, as I said, the seclusion, as long as you do the jama'ah prayer. So here, he had built himself a monastery, and he used to pray in it. One day his mother, she leaves the house, goes all the way up to the monastery, and she sees him praying. She calls upon him, Jurayj. Now he's contemplating, oh Lord, shall I fulfill her call, or shall I continue my prayer? So he said, I'll continue my prayer. So he ignored her call. So she went down all the way to the house. Following day she comes, all the way up to the monastery. He's praying again. Jurayj, oh Lord, shall I respond, shall I continue? He said, I'm going to continue the prayer. So he ignored her call as well. So she went back all the way to the house. Third day, she climbs up, all the way up. Jurayj, he's praying again. Contemplation. And he said, oh Lord, my mother, or shall I respond, or shall I continue my prayer? So he gave preference to continue the prayer. That's when the mother lost her patience. And she was so frustrated that the mercy, which is always something that is rooted into the heart of the mother, is being uprooted, being taken out. Because now she came 3 times and asked him, and he did not respond. And for verily, you need to understand that if you are a person who prays voluntarily, mashallah, and your parents came and asked you to respond to them, and you know that they are short-fused, intempered, do not go into your voluntary. Stop your voluntary and fulfill their call. Just leave the voluntary. Cut off the prayer. Or of course, you leave it. If it is obligatory, then you make sure that you give a hint. Raise up your voice in takbir in order to tell them I'm praying. And also make your prayer light. So don't start praying now with Baqarah, Al-Imran, just for the sake of getting away with it and not to respond to your parents. So just Fatiha, finish it and go and respond to them. But if it's voluntary and you know your father and your mother are impatient, cut off your prayer and fulfill the call. For verily here, he did not cut off the prayer. Jurayj was praying. And the time of Christians, they used to pray 2 units and they've got wudu, same thing. Same prayer. but not exactly the same as in our detailed prayer. But there was a prayer before even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala imposed the prayer upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He used to pray. He used to pray. So, now we could find here that the mother, momentarily, she lost that mercy. She made a da'wah. Oh Lord, do not make Jurayj to die until he sees the faces of the unchaste women. She's like treating him with the opposite that he's trying to get away from. He's trying to keep to ibadah, away from the fitna. She's calling Allah Azza wa Jal to put him in the fitna that he's trying to get away from. It was like a hand-picked supplication, hand-picked dua, just to put him down from his ultimate righteousness to the point where he is weak and vulnerable. Every person amongst us, father or a mother, he would always hope to have Jurayj as a son. Jurayj is a worshipper. I mean, I would like to have a son like Jurayj. Abid. So the mother now, she lost that. I don't want this righteousness that would make my son do not respond to me when I call him. So she made this dua. And Jurayj is listening while he's praying. Allahumma la tumid Jurayjan hatta turiyahu wujuha al-mumisat. She is listening to that. Do you think that Jurayj went in his mind that Allah would fulfill such supplication? Do you think? No way. Jurayj would never think that Allah is going to fulfill such supplication. It's not right, because I am worshipping Allah and Allah would protect me, and Allah, supplication of my mother is really oppression and it's not correct. How can she do that? And all that will go to the mind of the person. No way he would accept, and no way he would think that Allah would fulfill his supplication, because he's with Allah Azza wa Jal. He's not sinning. He's actually worshipping. But let's now, when we see that the continuation of the story, how Allah Azza wa Jal would respond to the call of the mother, and be aware that that mercy that your father and mother has got for you, if you keep doing something they hate you to do, that mercy would go momentarily, and then make a dua, and that heaven is open for the dua, and it goes through, and Allah will fulfill it. Al-Awwam ibn Hawshab radiyallahu anhu comes to the cemetery, and he sees two women, old, and another one, she was not old. The old woman next to the grave, and she's knitting some wool for her, just like a jump rope. And suddenly the grave cracked open. That's a phenomenon that didn't take place later on. And a person came out of the grave. He brayed like a donkey 3 times. You know the donkey how it brays? 3 times. Then he went inside. And then the grave sealed. Something that you've seen, and I think you're going to bring BBC and CNN, and maybe you're going to be terrified for the rest of your life. Awam Hawshab, he went to the other woman. He said, what is the story of this person? See, that mother of his, she's next to the grave. So the woman's knitting next to the grave. That person, her son, he said, that person, before he died, he used to get drunk. One time he came, just about Asr time, and his mother, she's saying to him, fear Allah, stop drinking. He says, you are braying like a donkey, mother. And then he died. So every time of Asr, that grave cracks open, he goes braying 3 times, because he had called his mother, you are braying like a donkey 3 times. You're braying like a donkey. So that's what Allah had, made him like a lesson. How long did it stay this? Allahu A'lam. But the hadith is Hasan, means Sahih, is authentic, as our Shaykh al-Albani made it authentic. Just to make sure that you understand that the mother's supplication or the father's supplication can reach the heaven straight away. 3 supplications has to be fulfilled. We mentioned one, the other one, the supplication of a tyrant, a person who's under oppression, he's been dealt wrongly, and the supplication of a traveler. Coming back. Now, the people in that city, in that town where Jurayj was, used to talk about the ibadah, the worship of Jurayj. Oh, what a worshipper he was. So they envied him. So they wanted to put him down. So one of these women who was unchaste, so she said, do you want him down? He said, well, if you can, I'll leave it to me. So she starts putting herself onto the path where he climbs to the monastery. He passes by her. But he's not paying attention because he's devoted to his worship. He's a person linked to his prayer. Nothing to do with her. So she failed her mission, but she insisted. She did not give up. There was a shepherd. We used to, as one of the narrations, that he was a shepherd for cows and shepherds for sheep. He took shelter in this hermitage, in this monastery of Jurayj. So she said, I will seduce him. And she succeeded. And she made him to fornicate with her. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, and she got pregnant. So now, this is you could say, the mission that she wanted to fulfill, to bring Jurayj down. So when she got pregnant and then she delivered the baby, at that time, any person who commits fornication, his penalty is death. So when she was summoned before the king, she claimed that he raped her. And that child is what? That child belongs who? To. Who's done this? Who's the father of the child? She said, Jurayj. She didn't say Jurayj, the son of whom? Just Jurayj. Because he's well known in the town, even to the king. She said, Jurayj, the one who's in the monastery? Jurayj, the abid, the worshipper? I mean, okay, the sign of disbelief. How can it be? She said, it's him. So he said, go ahead, demolish his monastery. Bring him to me. I don't know how these people, subhanAllah, just looking at the story back and forth and back and forth. How can they just, in one click, they believe a prostitute against the person who is known to them as a righteous man? How can it be like this? I want investigating this and that. These are called in Arabic awam. Awam means layman. But in Arabic is a better word because awam is from the ama. Blind. You know, the laymen are blind. They go like this. In the morning, they're believers in BBC. In the evening, believers in CNN. Second day, believers in, Jazeera. The third day, believers in Arabiya. Just like this, awam. Subhanallah, they just follow anything. Anything. We call him the Aslab al-Qata. A bird, we've seen it. He flies, and there's birds follow him. If that bird's got up, even if he commits suicide, all the birds behind him will commit suicide. Just layman. Because if you are ignorant, that's what happens to you. If Allah wants good to you, He'll give you understanding in the religion. Fiqh. So they were laymen. SubhanAllah, they forgot how righteous was that person. All of that's gone. And they believe that a person who is known to be at least, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, she's doing the fornication. She must be a liar. But they believed her. So they brought him, cuffed, chained with his neck towards his hands, humiliation, demolished all his monastery. And then he passed by that woman, and she had friends who's got the same profession. Meaning what? Unchaste. They sell their body for money. Soon as he saw them, he'd never seen them in his life, he smiled. The king had seen that smile. What is he doing, this guy? Provoking the king. He's smiling. He's been brought here and he's smiling. So when he was brought, he said, what is the matter? He said, well, you have made fornication with this woman and this child is yours. He said, this child is mine? This child is mine? He never left the monastery. His child is mine? Is she claims that his child is mine? Yes, child is yours. Now he can't really have any person to save him except for Allah Azza wa Jalla. And the Prophet ﷺ said, تَعَرَّفْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فِي الرَّخَاءِ يَتَعَرَّفْ عَلَيْكَ فِي الشِّدَّةِ. Know Allah in the times of prosperity, Allah will know you in the time of difficulty. Do you understand that? If you know Allah, that means if you link your Allah to Allah Azza wa Jalla, yourself to Allah when you're in the time of prosperity, you're not in the time of difficulty, Allah will remember you and help you in the time when you need Him, in difficulty. So he said, can I have permission to make prayer and a wudu? So he made the wudu, as in the hadith says. And he made 2 unit rak'ah. Then after the 2 rak'ah, again I'm investigating the story, I'm looking at him. This person with all confidence, he has no witness whatsoever to save his life. He's going to be killed. Except to point to that child who was in the womb of that unchaste woman, saying to him, who is your father? His fate will depend upon a baby. A baby who cannot give a sound except for that's the baby crying. He doesn't give a child words. Can't give the cradle. Points to the baby with all confidence. Who's your father? So the child made two things. He pointed and he spoke. He said, Ar-Rai, the shepherd. Now, all these people, they can't ask for anything else. All of them, they believed. Now they look at these people, they're stroking you, oh Sheikh, Maulana, it's like this. Not only that, the king said, oh, sorry, he's apologizing. What shall we do for you? Shall we rebuild your monastery from gold? To compensate him for this depression and all that. No. From silver? No. Just return it back as it was from mud. Remember those people having claims when they have the car? Whiplash, replash, eplash, olash. For money, all of it. True or not? Yes, for them. You don't have a claim? Oh, happy, got money. All this money is haram. And they claim whiplash for nothing. They just go for something and they lie. Painkillers. Just to get more money. That money is haram. You want to fly from me like that. He said nothing. I don't want except for my monastery to be built from mud. That's it. Rebuilt it as he destroyed it. But the king is still curious. He wants to know why he smiled. Why are you smiling? When it brought you, people will be crying, not smiling. He said, I remembered the supplication of my mother. It got me. It had got me. Supplication of my mother. O Lord, not to make Jurayj to die until he sees the faces of the prostitutes. And I've seen them. He would never need to see them. The mother's supplication got me. Just to show you that how Allah Azza wa Jal, to what extent that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would fulfill the supplications of your parents. Choose. Are they going to be supplicating for you or supplicating against you? Now in the story, there's something that we have as well learnt, which Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullahi alayhi is extracting. It's a very important point and very useful to the people who are living in places where most likely these things would happen. He said to him, who is your father? The child spoke in the cradle. He said, Ar-Rai. The Rai is the illegitimate father, isn't he? He's not a real father. He's the biological father, call him. He is the father from the wedlock, not from a proper marriage. Now, that gives us the answer for those people who, waliyadu billah, fornicates. And there was no husband for that woman. And both they repent to Allah. That child was usually attributed to his mother, not to his father. If they repent to Allah and he knows that he is the biological father of that child, then that child can be attributed also, not just to the mother, also to the one, to the father. And that's very important. For those who are, what I'm talking about, that dilemma, they ask me, well, they ask these questions. This child, my wife, but before my wife, she was my girlfriend, and I have a child from her. Is that child mine or not? Usually the sheikhs would come to you, usually the ones who do not take this fatwa, they would say to you, this child, you have to give him a different name, not your name. So he's not the son of you. He's to be the son of the father of the mother, from the grandmother side, from the father from the mother side. But this tells us that if there is no firash, that means there is no husband for that woman, and that man, he fornicated, and they both repented to Allah, then he is attributed not just to the mother, also attributed to the father. After this, alhamdulillah, we come to the conclusion of our talk, so we'll give you the time of the answers, which is that to make sure that we are righteous to our parents, and how far should we go. I've gathered for you some etiquettes that we need to adhere to. Number one, you could be tested by Allah Azza wa Jal to have parents who are short-fused. They are tempered. So you need to be patient regarding them. And need to be obedient. For verily, the obedience is not, or the righteousness is not to obey them in something that you like to do. No. Righteousness is to obey them in something that you don't like to do. Something you don't like to do it, but they command you to do it, and you do it because of being righteous to them. That's righteousness. Because if you like to do it, you'll do it because you like it. But if you don't like it and you do it, then subhanallah, that's righteousness. مَلْعُونٌ مَنْ عَقَّ وَالِدَيْهِ. He's cursed outside the mercy of Allah, the one who is undutiful to his parents. مَلْعُونٌ مَنْ سَبَّ وَالِدَيْهِ. He's cursed the one who insults his parents. How can a person insult his parents? Either directly or indirectly. He will insult the father of so-and-so, as in retaliation, he will insult your father. Because of your insultation to the father of that person, you have caused the insultation of your own father. Mal'oon, you are cursed, you are outside the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, to which extent I need to fulfill my father's and my mother's request, even if it's against my wish. Listen, if your father and your mother are righteous, and they ask you to divorce, or one of them asks you to divorce your beloved wife, you have to divorce her. No hesitation. Abdullah ibn Umar is married to a woman whom he loves. Do you think Abdullah ibn Umar, the great companion who is so strict in the deen, we call it Azaib ibn Umar, wa Rukhas ibn Abbas, he's got lots of things which are very strict in the deen. Abdullah ibn Umar, which type of woman would he marry? A street girl? Or a woman, she's a abida, sa'ima, qa'ima, woman, she worships Allah. Which type of woman? You tell me. Which type of woman? Right. Yet his father, Umar al-Khattab, he sees the relationship between his son and his wife. He doesn't like it. He's too much in love with her. He's maybe taken him away from the iman. Something he sensed it. He says to his son, divorce her. Now, of course, Abdullah ibn Umar would not dare say anything to his father Umar al-Khattab. But he wants to seek help. He goes to the Prophet ﷺ. Because no way anybody would convince the Umar al-Khattab or would command him except for the Prophet of Allah. So he's seeking help from the Prophet, Messenger of Allah. My father is commanding me to divorce my wife. He's like saying, help. He's not saying, he's saying, help. Do something about it, Messenger of Allah. Tell him off. Don't let him to make me. Look at that. Even that Abdullah ibn Umar, he doesn't know how far you should obey how far you should obey your father. He was not rude to his father. He didn't say anything. He just sneaked, went to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him, Messenger of help. So what did the Prophet say? What did he say? Did he ask why? Why is he asking to divorce her? Why are you asking, is she good or bad? He said, Abak. Obey your father. Straight away. So he divorced her. With no hesitation. A man comes to Abdul Darda, companion. Yeah, but Darda, my mother, is commanding me to divorce my wife. What should I do? He said, I'm not going to let you to go and divorce or marry, but I'm going to tell you a story. The same thing had happened at the time of the Prophet of Allah. A man came and his mother asked him to divorce his wife. Prophet of Allah, what should I do? He said, Al-walidan awsat wa abwab al-jannah. The father and the mother are the middle gate of paradise. In shi'ta, falzamhuma wa in shi'ta dayyihuma. If you wish, win that gate, or if you wish, you lose that gate. The gate, the middle gate, that means the best gate. So which one you're going to take? You're going to waste the gate, or you're going to follow the gate? So if your father or your mother are righteous people, they do their prayers and all of that, you should fulfill their command. But of course, if they're not righteous, and they are telling you, divorce her because she's not from the same caste, same race, same language, she's not Guri, whatever. Those Pakistan brothers say Gura, it means white, she's not enough white, she's not. Then I would say, yes, you don't really respond to their request and command, but in a very good way. As we're going to see, that is another point, which is, fulfill their request. If they ask you something, don't argue and don't hesitate. Come here, quickly. Don't say why. Don't say why. Come. And then you'll know why. And don't say, I'm washing the cup. I'm watching TV. Just before that, let me just finish that. No. Leave and come. Father will love you for that. Your mother will love you for that. Leave. Yes, mother. I'm at your command. At your service. She'll love you for that. You'll have the best supplication from her. But what is it that people would do? Keep a closed eye. I can't hear you. What did you say, mother? Subhanallah. She's calling you, just come close and then you will know why you wanted to raise her voice, in order for you to understand. You go to her and, yes mother, what should I do with you? Some of them will say, he's got a sister or a brother. You go and see what my mother wants. Subhanallah. Go and see what my father wants. Instead of racing one another, who's going to be more righteous to his father or his mother, he's pushing his brother or sister. Especially if he's younger than him. Go and see what he wants. Subhanallah. You should be competing. I'm the first one. I'm going to be going there to see what. Yes, father. Yes, mother. They'll love you. Wallah, they'll love you for that. Don't hesitate, akhi. A man, at the time of the Salaf, he's a funny man. He says to his son, bring me a rope. In Arabic, if you bring me a rope, you bring a rope, 2 meters rope. So he's asking, how long do you want it, father? Okay, I want it 5 cubits. How thick do you want it, father? He said, the thickness of your brains. Subhanallah. Why are you asking? Rope is a rope. Is he wanting to just delay it, make him frustrated? Subhanallah, which shop do you want me to buy it from? Why is that? Fulfill it, akhi. And don't hesitate. For verily, talk to them in a nice way, soft way. Do not raise your voice in front of them. Do not interrupt them. Do not argue with them, even if you are upon the haqq, except if it's to do with the deen. They said, for example, something which is haram, then you need to address the issue in the best of the ways, without argumentation. Slowly. You can bring somebody else to tell them about it. Now, when they come inside, stand up for them. This is not the standing up for another person or righteous. This is for their parents. Make sure that you honor them and give them what they want. Always consult them regarding your affairs. Always observe and preserve their reputation, their wealth and their honor. Always increase in making dua of istighfar for both of them. Always be kind to the people whom they were kind to even after their death. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. He was with his slave Nafi, his servant. He sees a Bedouin man, Arabi. He got nothing. No mount, nothing. And he had a donkey himself. So he gives him the donkey and he gives him his imama. The imama is the symbol of honor. Nafi says, Aslahak Allah ibn Umar, may Allah, rectify you. That means what you're doing. You're giving your Porsche to the man. Like Porsche, don't you give it to the Porsche? These people, man, they can give them anything. They will be satisfied with this. They didn't know. Who is he? He said, this man's father, he was a friend of my father. Look at that. Subhanallah. This man's father was a friend of my father. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Minna min abarr al-bir, the most righteous acts, and yasil al-rajulu wudda abih. That is, the person will be maintaining the relationship of those people whom his father and mother used to love. I'm asking, how did Abdullah ibn Umar know that person is the son of the friend of his father? He must be, or must have been, all the time he was with his father, to know who he's befriending, his father. Not only that, the family of the friends of his father. Not every time that his father receives his friends and coming to them, you'll find the son, I'm going, Dad. I'm going, and he goes to somewhere else. So he doesn't know the friends of his father, nor he knows the family of the friends of his. He doesn't know. When the guest comes, he's anywhere except in the house. So that is why he honored him. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, if you honor this, then the father, if he is to be alive, or the mother to be alive, and he sees that you honor the people whom they used to honor, and they used to love, they'll be happy with you. So you're being righteous to them even after the death. Verily, when the guests come to the house, be next to the door. So you'll be fulfilling their commands. The kitchen, come and keep looking at their eyes. They might command you hiddenly, secretly, without with their eyes. Like this. So they'll know. So not, come on, please, my son, understand what I'm talking about. So just a hint. You look in watching the eyes of the father and your mother. What do they want? So you have the command like this. They love you for that. Do not lie, wal-iyadu billah, in front of them. Do not take anything without permission, or something they did not permit you to take. Do not travel long journeys, which you normally don't do, without their permission. Do not disturb them when they are asleep. To what extent? You remember the story of these 3 people who were locked in the cave. And they said that Allah will not remove this block until we supplicate to Allah with the best of the deeds that we made in our life. First one, he said, I used to have a father and a mother, and I used to milk my sheep and give them the milk before my children. One day, I got the milk, came to father and mother, and they were asleep. I did not wake them up, nor he gave the children who they were crying. They were crying. He did not give the children until his father and mother woke up. He did not even disturb them. Wake up, father and mother, because I've got you the milk and I want you to drink before my children, so my children would stop crying. He waited till they woke up and he gave them the milk. Look at that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removed the rock slightly to the end of the story. Also, do not give preference to your children over your father and mother. Do not give preference to your wife. Wallahi, when I see a person putting his wife in the front seat, his mother in the back seat, this person is back-minded. How dare you, akhi? Oh, the non-Muslim, they would do further than that. They'll put the dog in the front seat and both the father and the mother in the back. And the wife. Or the wife would put the husband and the dog in the front. But we are not. We are Muslims. If they do something that's wrong, or something you don't like him to do, don't reprimand them. Don't tell them off. And do not feel pride with your knowledge because you've been graduated from physics university, whatever university, engineer, we've got PhD. And maybe they will speak with ignorance in front of people regarding the profession of doctors, and they're not doctors. So they make the doctors maybe around laugh at them. You don't laugh. And you should not be as well upset. And you should not tell them off. Father and mother, don't get involved in something you don't know about. Don't make us a fool. Let us look a fool. Don't say that, akhi. It's your parents. You should defend them all the time. Do not laugh if there's no reason to laugh in front of them. Do not start the food. Let them start first. And when you eat from the side of yours. Children, they eat, and the sons, they eat the sides and the side of the parents as well. The mother, of course, she doesn't mind. Do not sit before your father, especially. Do not walk in front of them unless they want you to do so in order to clear the path. Do not stretch your feet like this in front of them. Even in our customs, if you put your legs cross-legged like that, that's a very bad sign. Who's an Arab here? They know that this, yes? Sitting like this, huh? Can you do that in front of your father? That's a very bad. Shame! Shame if you do that. A'udhu billah. Cross-legged in front of your parents. If he's your father, do not walk beside him exactly. Just go slightly behind. Do not go beside him exactly, unless there's a need. Do not befriending somebody who is not good to your parents. Don't befriend them. They ask you, don't go with this guy, don't go with him. Now if they ask you to boycott somebody who you're supposed to maintain his relationship with you, like boycott his brother, which is your uncle. Don't go with the uncle. Now you've got a duty towards Allah, that is to maintain a relationship with uncle. At the same time, you've got bigger relationship with the father. So you don't really say, no, father, Allah commanded me to maintain my relationship to my uncle. I'm going to do it whether you like it or not. Don't do that, akhi. You say to your father, okay, but secretly, make a call to your uncle. And your uncle will understand, inshallah. Because you cannot upset your father. And at the same time, your uncle will be happy with you. And you fulfill your duty towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they permit you to smoke, and smoke is haram, do not smoke in front of them. Dare you do that, akhi. I've seen children smoke in front of their father. Smoke in the front of the mother, and lots of them, they don't care, because the mother is not really the weaker point, the weaker element. But the father, if you smoke in front of the father, that means the father can't do anything to you. You're a person, you don't give a care about him. No respect whatsoever. If they are awake and you are staying up, it's not good to go and sleep while they're awake. Unless they can tell you, no problem, my son, but always be there for you. If you do these things, wallahi, come to me and tell me how many hugs you're going to have, how many love you're going to have. But you have to press onto your pride. Step on top of it and say that Jannah is through them. Allah Azza wa Jal ibtalakum. Allah tested you with parents. So He had commanded you to be good to them. And He warned the parents against their sons and against their daughters. He warned them. And at the same time, He commanded the sons and their daughters to be righteous to their parents. أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن ينفعنا بما قد سمعنا وأن يجعل ما سمعنا في ميزان أعمالنا وأن يكون ذلك يوم القيامة ذخرا لنا إن شاء الله.